well. Oh, my thing's gone again. It's lagged. Right, calendar. Give it a couple of seconds. Let me sort my camera out once again. For some reason, it doesn't like it when I change scenes. Really weird, this. Has that fixed it? Absolutely. Right, brilliant. Hello, welcome back. If you have just joined us, hello. And if you're, well, only just finding us, hello. If you were watching the race, apologies. Turns out, the driver that desynced wasn't just on my game. I thought it was, and I'm sure you probably maybe thought it was too, but unfortunately they desynced fully, and I've been told there is a restart coming in this race. Unfortunately, we will be reset to about lap 6, the grid from lap 6. But very interesting. But yeah, desync, unfortunately coming in, gonna cause some problems in this race. But tech errors coming a cropper. It happens on the F1 game. We're used to it, unfortunately, but nonetheless, we're still in for a great time of racing. We're changing the race distance to a 35% race as opposed to a 50% race, just to make it a little bit fairer for the drivers. It's not fair to make them do a full half distance race. That means it won't be 29 laps of racing. In fact, they would have raced more, but we'll be restarting the grid from about lap 5 or so, which is fair, and it's only fair that this happens due to the desync that occurred. But if you have just joined us, we are restarting. We will have a new lobby, unfortunately, due to the desync. Well, we have been told that there is a restart, and because there was a lot of desync, few drivers are complaining of it, so the restart being called just for the sake of ensuring the drivers can race fairly, cleanly, and get a great race out of it. So if you have just joined us, that is the situation as things stand. A new lobby is being thrown together as we speak, quite literally. But we're going to get that all-important restart. And once we have that, we will be getting underway for this race. A new lobby has been opened. And, well, drivers are a little bewildered by the constant game issues that seem to plague us wherever we go, but nonetheless, still in for some great racing when we get underway. And if you are wondering when we are getting underway for racing, it is the Bahrain International Circuit that we're heading to tonight. And well, keep an eye on this track because plenty of overtaking opportunities around this circuit. And well, my camera continues to die, and I'm really irritated by this. I have no idea why it keeps happening. I just can't seem to fix it, like at all. And it's really weird. Just got no idea. But what I do know is that we'll be getting this race underway very, very quickly. Hopefully not too long to wait until we get this race underway. And really, it's going to be great. This race, we've already seen the sort of action we can have and the sort of, well, all of the thrills and spills that you can get around this sort of circuit. And, well, we're going to have plenty more in a couple of moments' time when we get this race properly back underway. But let's have a look at those all-important standings now. And, well, standings very, very important to look at. WR, they weren't having the best race here, so maybe they'll be a little bit more thankful about the restart being called here because it may work to their benefit. But as things stand, very importantly for WR is there's a restart, and it's being restart from a different point in the race. So technically, it might work to their advantage because they'll be 12th and 13th, which is not where they qualified. So, you know, essentially, if you look at it this way, the race has been red flagged. You know, it's not quali grid, it's from a certain point in the race. So, you know, it'll be very interesting to see what it looks like when we get this underway. I still don't fully understand why my camera seems to be causing troubles every point an opportunity it humanly can. Really, really weird to me. But very important is that this race is going to throw up a few surprises, I think. Absolutely no doubt about that. So, as I look to sort my camera out, have a final look over those standings, because we haven't got all too long until we be back underway for the action here in Bahrain. And I believe I sorted my camera out good enough that we can go back to it as I press the wrong keybind. Impressive stuff here for a man of many, many mysteries and a man of many, many things. Being made was between whether it was the one-shot qualifying or the running the quali grid, or even running the race as from the before we red flagged it per se. What's your kind of perspective? Do you think it was best to look at, you know, the quali grid, or Richards for the slander in chat, telling me to sort the microphone out. I'm getting a new microphone. I am getting a new microphone. I understand it is on the poorer side, So, yes, I will be getting a new one. Do not worry. But honestly, you've been aired. Yeah, you have been aired, Nathan. But I'm just I'm reading the chat at the moment, seeing everyone's reaction to this race restart, the scenario we're currently in, seeing how people are reacting to it, and very interesting to see everyone's perspective on this sort of scenario, saying about how drivers are lagging all around, too painful to watch, and too painful to watch the poor drivers suffer, and fully agree. It's so difficult as a driver when you are desyncing around the joint, but very interesting to see everyone's reaction in the chat to the Marvel curtains bang. Thank you very much for not slandering my amazing Marvel curtains. I have, I believe, a co-caster who's just decided to throw themselves in my chat.
I'm just asking how many people are in the lobby.
17. Everyone's in.
So have we got everyone in?
Yes.
I think the grid is done. Have you checked the settings?
Well, I'm not the one hosting, so it's not my problem. But yes. Thank you very much for the welfare check. But yes.
We've got all 17 in.
Yes, we have.
Good.
Right, let's have a look at the chat. God forbid issues arise during the race. I fully agree. Issues arriving during the race would not be great. But yeah, very interesting to see. The Marvel curtains do, though, as I was saying, bang, they are... I've had them for, honestly, ages. But, it's brilliant. And someone saying hi to the co-caster who threw themselves in. The Marvel curtains are a W. They are indeed. But what is going to be, I think, a bigger W than my Marvel curtains is going to be this race when it gets underway in hopefully a couple of minutes' time. And people are still debating the starting grid. It's the quali grid for this race. So that does mean that the hard work of some drivers has been undone, but going to be interesting to see who has gifted 5 subs, though. Frenchie Matt F1, thank you very much for the 5 gifted in the chat. And wow, I'm always disappointed that I wasn't logged into my personal account, because I could have benefited from that, but thank you very much for the 5 gifted there, French Matty F1. Very much appreciated. I don't normally do PCs, so I don't normally see this sort of thing, but thank you very much for that. That is brilliant stuff. Greatly appreciated and helps us to run everything. Why do we care about all the subs? It's not that we care. It's about thanking our community for, showing their support to us, our broadcast, and everything that we do. It's not the case that we make a huge amount out of Twitch. Funnily enough, if you don't know who I am, I actually work at PSGL. I play a massive part over there. And trust me, the amount you make from these sort of social channels is so negligible. It's just about showing back and giving a bit of love to the community. And thank you, Frenchie Matt, for... and subscribing yourself at tier 1, very greatly appreciated. Anyway, I'm keeping an eye on this grid. Thomas Boldra has readied up, which means it's nearly time to go. And people being told not to forget their setup, which is a brilliant reminder. These guys having been out of it for a little while. So it's interesting to see. And just keeping an eye on this. So interesting to see the comments being made. Thank you, Nathan, though, for being here and waving the flag for me in the corner. I feel like you're like the little cheerleader, in the corner, like curled up in a ball, just waving the flag solitary. There's no one else there supporting me, but... 2p per sub. I think I'm worth a little bit more than that. But no matter how much I'm worth, money is on the line at the end of the day in this championship, which is exactly why it is only fair to have this restart. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if money wasn't on the line, sure, leave it as it is. But with money on the line, these teams, they will call for that restart. It's only fair they get it. Obviously, different racing conditions being given now, 35% race as opposed to a 50%. So, going to be slightly different conditions, but I can see a pit lane, which means we are very much getting towards the start of this race. And that is exactly what you want to see in these sort of conditions. Very important that these drivers put their setups on, sort their strategy out. It'll take a couple of minutes, but it will all be worth it. Do not go anywhere. A couple minutes time, you'll be getting underway. And if you're wondering where we are, it is the Bahrain International Circuit that we head to tonight. It's round number 9 of the competitive Speed Series season, and it is WR out on top in the championship, but your own main overtaking opportunities turn 1, turn 4, and turn 11, but do not count out overtaking at turn 14. That is another great overtaking opportunity. 15 turns around here, 3.362 miles, 3 DRS zones, and plenty of action going to unfold as we build up towards the start of this race, which, let's take you to the start of this race, because I do not want to miss this race start. You have waited long enough for the racing action. It's a pit lane, guys. It might only be a pit lane now, but in a couple moments' time, it'll be a track. Those red lights will come on, and the wait will have been all worth it. But I really need a drink. My voice is absolutely killing, and no surprises here, but only a couple moments, and we get this race underway, and what a race it is going to be. We've seen these guys battle and duel it out, and this is going to continue now. Let me have a drink. I'll see you on the other side. 3, 4, 5 red lights. I didn't get to have a drink, but here we go. Lights out and away we go. Zach Miles back to second, JSD back to first. It's as we were, but 35% this time. 20 laps ahead of us here, and the battling down into turn number 1. And look, this time it's a little bit more chaotic. There's a little bit more drama as we head through turn number 1 on this particular occasion. And look at the overtakes and drama happening already. Look as everyone shuffles around, moves around here in the starting of this race. Thomas Bolger there getting up into 4th place here on the opening lap of this race. But look at the advances that JSD has got ahead of Zach Miles on the opening lap here, as Mizzy now battles with Kieran Humphreys there over 8th and 9th. And look at the scrapping down as we go down the hill towards the bottom and lowest point of this circuit as we go down towards turn number 10, one of the trickiest points on the track, but we see some great attempts at an overtake here, as well as look at that WR of Jay Kennedy trying to get the overtake there on Jensen Randall, as now we head down what will be the 3rd DRS straight once that gets enabled in 2 laps time, as Tony Hielter there loses a couple of places. JST though out in front, 5 tenths ahead of the field, and Nico, who obviously caused this restart, he's in 6th place here and not doing too bad in this race, but very important to note that he, obviously, having had that desync moment, you know, he has got to prove that it was all worth it for his team, because obviously they would have fought to get this restart through, seeing how that issue did hamper him, as we see a car into the pit lane. That is Marco De Bruno, I believe, there into the pit lane. No, it's not. It's Aaron Ramiguez. They're down, going into the pit lane there on the end of lap number 1. But look at the field. It's so close together. No one out of DRS range of each other as this race progresses here. And look at Nico there trying to battle with Istvan Tomasi there over P6 and P7 in this race. But the action going to be so hard to follow. That is Mizzy, who's gone around there in the end of sector, towards the end of sector number 1. Is there any damage to the Red Bull? Doesn't appear to be, but a lot of places lost there for the TTM car, so that is unfortunately going to really hamper their chances of getting a great result out of this race, unfortunately. But nonetheless, the action gonna continue through this race as Drake Dempsey, we heard him in the pre-race build-up here, no, our second pre-race build-up, you know, he was fighting words. He said, "I'll see you on the podium," sort of thing. I'll take the race win. And well, he's certainly going to be trying to do that for him. He just wants to have a nap, he said, but he's got to try and get towards the end of this race first before he can have that all-important and deserved nap. In fact, I hope all of these drivers have a well-deserved nap because they thoroughly will deserve it. Count the checkered flag at this one. But lap number 3, DRS set to be enabled now. And, well, this could be a decisive point in this race because this is when things can get a little bit more frosty and a little bit more dramatic now, because now DRS comes into the mix and it becomes a little bit more of a strategic battle around when you overtake, when you hold back, and when you really fight. But Mizzy into the pit lane, changing his tyres on lap number 3 of 20. So disappointing there for him and TTM, but still an opportunity as we go through this race. But no one making a move here on lap number 3 of 20, but got plenty of time nonetheless here to try and get that all-important move. And, well, plenty of laps, plenty of pit stops to come as well. Only 2 drivers having pits so far, and they are 16th and 17th there with Aaron and Mizzy there, but they could be working a different strategy and maybe even benefiting come the other end of it, possibly, as I believe that's the Alpine there, looking a little bit slower than the others as they go out the exit of turn number 10, but we've got plenty of you know, overtakes to come in this race. Things staying as they were, but that will eventually begin to boil over. Just to look at the tyre compounds for you. Most drivers opting for the soft compound of tyres to start this race on, but a few sets on the medium tyres, and Aaron and Mizzy going on to a set of hard compound tyres. And that choice of tyre, very decisive, showing that Mizzy and Aaron going towards the end of this race on that set of tyres. But these softs and mediums will have to pit. Mediums will go to a set of softs, no doubt. The softs, sorry, will go to a set of mediums or hards, possibly, depending on how much they want to push their tyres. But nonetheless, on lap 4 of 20, it is currently JST still out in front here for playing ducks, and not a bad place to be for them in this race. They really want to try and get some good points and maximise everything out of this race if they can, and well, it's very important for them to do exactly that. But look at Drake Dempsey, really on the back here of, off the back of Zach Miles. But as we head down this third DRS straight around the circuit, it's very, very close as they go one by one, filtering up the hill now, and they are so, so close to each other. There's mere tenths separating each and every driver. In fact, everyone from first all the way down to 12th within a second of each other. That is brilliant, brilliant racing here. So, so close, fine margins, and at the top tier of racing, it's going to be so, so difficult to get the overtake done, as now through turn number 14 and turn 15, which really isn't too much of a corner they go. And now Drake Dempsey, look at how close to the back of this Alfa Romeo he is. Surely he's thinking about an overtake soon, but Zach Miles, he might be forced into an overtake here on another car. But look at the dive here from Tomas Boldra here. The medium tyres versus the softs. This is a different tyre, and this is a different strategy, but a time penalty going the way here of Tomas Boldra here on lap 5 of 20. That is not what you want in this race at all, to get a penalty that early on into it. Those medium tyres maybe having to push a bit more on them to keep within the back of Pablo Alcabar here, who obviously is on the soft compound tyres. So very difficult here indeed for him, but he's definitely on a different strategy that could pay its dividends, and if he's able to get a 3-second margin, it won't matter too much for him. But look at the dive there from Kieran Humphries versus Esteban Tomasi, as now they head down the third DRS straight here on lap 5 of 20, a quarter distance already in this race, and Kieran Humphries there losing the place to Esteban Tomasi, and that is not going to work to his advantage. But now as they go up the hill, Kieran Humphries, he's really already trying to reapply the pressure to the back of the Haas of Esteban Tomasi for ATX, and well, and he's able to get the re-overtake done. You've got plenty of opportunities and places you can do it around this sort of circuit, but look at the top three, so close to each other here as we head down and begin lap number 6 in this race, and look behind as well as they all begin to pull out the slipstream of each other as Kieran Humphries there gets back ahead of Istvan Tamasi, but the top three very close to each other too, and well, everyone keeping very, very close as side by side, and wow, look at those two continuing to battle through turn number 1, and well, that is a battle that could soon boil over if these drivers are not all too careful and always conscious of where each other are and place their car ever so strategically, but very nicely done from everyone involved there on that particular occasion, and the battling will continue for yet another lap here. Marco De Bruno currently towards the back of this train, has a time penalty to his name, but is very, very close to the back of Jay Kennedy here. Obviously, WR not looked the strongest around this circuit here. They might be leading the championship, but they're going to lose huge points as things stand to NLR and Playing Ducks here in this race, and it could really hurt them if things continue as they are, as we see drivers just pull out the slipstream there down the straight, cool the engine just a little bit, and make sure you don't have overspeed to force yourself into an overtake, because you don't want to do that, especially in this sort of top tier racing when you're really close to another car. It's not always beneficial to get back past. Sometimes it's better to stick in behind and keep things as they were, and that's what you see a lot of these drivers do. It's always difficult to judge when it's best to go and when it's best to stick behind, but someone who might not be looking to stay behind all too much longer is the top two on JSD here, because look as they head down the straight here, Zach Miles ahead of JSD. Is it going to be Drake Dempsey ahead as well as they go down and battle here now through, and now turn 2 and 3 they go up towards turn number 4 here in this race, and now JSD, he's got DRS on Zach Miles, who now leads the race, a new race leader here in this race. JSD's led from start to lap 6, and now it's finally time for someone else to have a shot at that race lead, and now JSD slots in behind very, very nicely, and he's got an opportunity here to try and work on his tyres and his battery if he's been burning it, as now Tomas Boldra here tries the overtake here on Pablo Alcaba here on lap 7 of 20, and this could be the sign that those medium tyres are getting better than the softs, which is where you would expect them to start getting a bit better now, especially on a shorter distance race. But now, what does his exit look like versus the Playing Ducks of Pablo Alcaban? Well, not looking too, not looking mind-boggling, but certainly not a bad exit in the slightest for him, and CPI could definitely be on for a good point score, especially if it's onto a set of soft compound tyres that he heads onto, because if he's able to, it will certainly work to his benefit and advantages. In the background there, it is Jensen Randall who gets ahead, or no, continues to stay ahead of Jay Kennedy, but runs wide on the exit, as does Istvan Tamasi there. So losing a place here, Jensen Randall, who'll lose a place to Jay Kennedy, who'll lose a place as well to Jay Kennedy. Actually lost 2 places in all of that, unfortunately for him, as now Jensen Randall goes side by side with Marco De Bruno, and now could actually throw Marco De Bruno under danger here from Jay Kennedy as they head down the DRS straight here, and you see that battling all across the top few, and while that DRS train from 1st to 11th continuing once more, and everyone out of that, they're running in a little bit of a league of their own though, but it's still looking to shape up to a very, very exciting race. As things stand, lap 8 of 20, it is Zach Miles who leads for NLR in this race, and well, a figure who needs no introduction, but there again, plenty of these drivers need very little introduction, if they do at all, and well, they're going to be trying to mount the pressure on here in these next couple of laps onto each other, because those soft tyres, you'll see them in within the next lap or 2, hopefully in this race, but they'll try and run it as long as they can, knowing it will benefit them on this second stint of tyres, especially if those mediums go onto a set of softs, trying to get as much life out of these tyres and get as much life out of those medium compound tyres that will benefit you in the long run. no doubt. But it's about when it's the best time to do it, as now we head on to lap number 9, and there we go, a few drivers into the pit lane. JST retakes the race leader. Zach Miles comes into the pit lane, as does Drake Dempsey, and plenty other drivers there. Pablo Alcabar, Nico Varney, Jensen Randall as well, and there's a yellow flag there. That is Tony Hielta there, Hietala, sorry, there in 15th place, who had a bit of a spin, I believe, there on the exit of the final corner here. And unfortunately, that's not going to work to his advantage, but into the pit lane they go, and this could be an interesting strategy now that we see the medium tyres run onto, because look at those medium tyres. They're not running too badly in this race. Ice Wiz and Candy King, both on medium tyres as well, but obviously they're a bit further off the pace. But Tomas Boldra, who obviously was running in the thick of the train with the soft compound runners, he might have the most to gain from this alternative strategy, so possibly going to be an absolute great race for him if he's able to really execute this strategy to pure perfection. He'll try run onto these mediums probably until about lap 13 or so, I would have thought, go onto set of soft and absolutely blitz it to the end here. But beautifully executed strategy so far, keeping in with those soft tyre runners. That's exactly what you'd want to do. He'll lose a bit of pace now, because obviously he's not got the benefit of DRS on JST. But in this race, plenty of opportunities for all of these drivers involved within this race. And well, no doubt it's going to be a great end to the race, as Tomas Boldra now comes up and takes the race lead on lap 10 of 20. And where is JC going to come out in all of this? Bearing in mind, he was leading the race. He was, and will he come out in the provisional race lead versus Drake Dempsey and Zach Miles? Well, that's a very good question in this race, because he has gone a lap or two longer, so will he benefit or will he lose out hugely? Well, at the moment, it looks like he's going to be losing out quite a lot of positions, actually. He loses 3 places in all of this and might even lose a 4th there, because look at Nico Viani there, who obviously will have warmer tyres, so might even be able to get the overtake done here, as now we head down into the braking zone here. He won't go for the overtake, will Nico Viani, so it does look like only 3 places lost for JST in all of that, but he loses a place to his teammate Zach Miles and Drake Dempsey, who is in the provisional race lead as things stand. And that is a man who needs to try and set the timing sheets alight. He did so in the first part of this race before we had that unfortunate call for a restart and that red flag per se. But in this race, looking great is Drake Dempsey. The pace so good for him and TTM in this race. And well, definitely on for a good result here if he's able to keep it within those all-important white lines, those track limits, and well, keep going at a very good pace like he has been up to this point in this race. But those medium tyres coming in, actually. Tomas Boldra coming in on lap number 10, well, going on to lap number 11 in this race. What does he go on to? Surely it's a set of soft compound tyres. I'm not quite sure if that's the correct choice. Maybe I would have ran that a lap or two longer, but he's chosen that to be the time to pit. Maybe he thinks he's going to lose too much time versus those on the fresh medium compound tyres. And well, now Zach Miles trying to maybe mount the pressure on a little bit to the back of Drake Dempsey here, as Jay Kennedy gets past Tomas Boldra. In fact, a lot of cars there actually got ahead of Tomas Boldra, so that really didn't seem to work for him, staying on those medium tyres an extra couple of laps. Although I said that maybe I would have pit a bit later, he's actually possibly lost out hugely, but he does now battle with Marco De Bueno here. And well, fresh soft compound tyres versus mediums, and whoa, a bit of a wheel banging moment between the two of them. But as we head down the hill and towards the braking zone of turn number 10, surely he doesn't go for the overtake of turn number 10, but he's going to have more grip than this Mercedes, so maybe he can. It's a darting move into the braking zone at turn 10, and he's ahead of ABS Marco De Bueno, and what an overtake there from Tomas Boldra there, and beautifully executed there. He's got a few seconds to find to get up to the back of Jay Kennedy and get some more points for CPI, but as things stand, really trying to execute this strategy as much as possible and get as much out of it if he can. And well, he's going to have to try and get plenty of moves in the next couple of laps, but things continuing as they were. Drake Dempsey in the provisional race lead as things stand, but plenty of opportunities for that to change as JSD gets ahead of his teammate Pablo Alcaba on lap number 12 of 20. Only 8 laps to go in this race, if you believe it. And it's been a pretty quick whistle-stop tour of the Bahrain circuit as the fastest lap there goes to... I believe that was Istvan Tamasi there, taking the fastest lap of the race so far. And, well, not doing too badly at all in this particular race, as Mizzy there loses a place out versus Aaron there for Shazoo. So Shazoo getting into the fringes of the points with one car as the other battles its way through it there in 8th, but with a 3-second time penalty to contend with. It's not really been a great day in the office for Shazoo in this second stint, unfortunately for them, but look at JC already really on the back here of Zach Miles in this race, and well, that is very, very crucial for JSD to get ahead of Zach Miles and, importantly, Drake Dempsey in this race. But look at the amount of time these medium tyre runners have lost. They are going to be in a land of their own. So Tomas Boldra definitely made the right call pitting when he did, because he's more likely to be able to fight his way into the top half of the points if he pit earlier in this race. It would seem as now I believe those medium tyre runners will come in. No, Candy King does not, but the other of RCR does come in, and wow, they will get up and lose a lot of places in this race, but that will definitely help everyone else score a couple more points if things finished as they were. But lap 13, Zach Miles, he's got DRS on Drake Dempsey. Drake Dempsey, he's still out in front quite convincingly as well, but you see a few drivers pull out of the slipstream there as we head down the second DRS straight around the lap here. And wow, very important, that DRS straight as well, because the first one, obviously that DRS detection point allows you to play a bit of DRS chicken and, well, re-overtake down the second straight, but very important you're able to do that if you're gonna dare try and do it. But in this race, as things stand, well, Drake Dempsey doing a fine job there, and you can see the current race leader, Candy King, he hasn't pit yet in this race, so unfortunately for him, he is going to have to, you know, really try and get a good final stint in if he wants to try and take the race win, or even get some good points out of this one, because unfortunately as things stand, not really in the fringes of it. But Drake Dempsey doing a fine job to keep this position and the provisional race lead as things stand in the race. And we're really whittling down the laps here, getting towards the end of this race. In fact, we're just about to cross 2/3 distance now. In fact, we have just crossed 2/3 distance here, and wow, Zach Miles, he's beginning to think about that overtake for the race lead, because he realizes he's going to have to do it relatively soon if he wants the opportunity to try and get the race win. And well, it's going to be very important for him to try and get it for NLR. Obviously, they are second in the championship. They need every point they can get over WR in this race, who obviously have one driver massively down the order, all the way down to 17th, and the other one only in 10th. So a great opportunity for them to score plenty of points in this race, but they need to get some good points on their own and try and get a race win if they can. But Drake Dempsey going to be doing absolutely everything in his power to try and stop that, and as things stand, doing a fine job out in front here, as Tony Hilter there gets a further 3-second time penalty, which adds insult to injury on his race, unfortunately, but nonetheless, going to be a difficult time for him and WR, as there's going to be probably quite a long debrief after the Bahrain Grand Prix. They maybe try and understand what's not quite gone right here for their race, but they've got to try and see what they can do in this one and see if they can get any more points on the board, but it's not looking all too promising for them at the current moment in time. But it's looking very promising for other teams like NLR, as Istvan Tamasi there gets ahead of Jensen Randall there out of the final bend. And, well, he'll benefit from DRS down the straight to help him just keep that place, and no opportunity for Jensen Randall to re-overtake that, as the soft tyres net a fastest lap point there, and that's for the RCR of Ice Twister down in 13th. And, well, Kieran Humphries there getting ahead of Nico Viani, who's having a great race after this restart. If you flash back to the very first race we attempted to have around here, well, he was the driver who had desync and, well, lost a lot of places from about 6th on, well, about 6th at the time, all the way down to, well, literally 17th in this race due to the desync that he unfortunately had. Put him a lap down on everyone's screen bar his, and unfortunately it just really ruined his chances of having a good race. But Kieran Humphries trying to keep that place ahead of him, but Nico having a brilliant race and thinking about that overtake for ABS, trying to get points for them in this race. And it's very great to see everyone trying to get as many points as they can out of this one, and it's very crucial to try and do that, as now you see them all pull out of the slipstream to try and just not overtake and not get too much overspeed. But now they'll tuck back in as they go into the braking zone to get the optimal racing line. Down the straight they head once more. Zach Miles, though, looking very, very good and well poised for a possible race win here, as both Alfa Romeos pull out and get an overtake. Kieran Humphries on Pablo Alcaba and Zach Miles on Drake Dempsey down into turn number 1, though. Could this be JC's time to try and re-overtake here? But not quite. But Zach Miles into the race lead, but the DRS will open wide on Drake Dempsey as they head down towards turn number 4. It's 3 wide there, 3 abreast, 2 places lost there for JC. Zach Miles down 1, Drake Dempsey re-overtakes, and what an overtake there from him, as now he gets back up ahead and into the race lead that he held for so long as well. Zach Miles wasn't able to hold it, but his teammate Kieran Humphries able to hold that place over Pablo Alcaba here, keeping that 4th place. It's a great day in the office for NLR as things stand, but also for Playing Ducks, and this battle between those two teams, it's going to continue, no doubt about it, because that is a brilliant time for both teams involved. But look at Tomas Boldra here in this race as well. He's in 9th place. He can definitely get a few more places in this race in the next couple laps, because those softs, they'll still have a bit of workable range, and they should still be just about ever so slightly faster than these medium compound tyres. But that 3-second time penalty undoubtedly going to hurt CPI quite heavily in this race. And with Jay Kennedy within 3 seconds of the 3 cars ahead, it could be a couple of promotions here for WR in terms of one of their cars, the other one in a world of their own, and not looking to gain anything good out of this race points wise. But still, anything could happen in this race as JC goes down the inside on Zach Miles into turn number 1. What an overtake here from him and Playing Ducks, as now it's a Playing Duck sandwich for NLR, unfortunately, in this race, as that's Esteban Tomasi, who's gone around. No, that's Tomas Boldra, Jensen Randall, and Esteban Tomasi. All 3 of them have had an incident there into turn number 1, so that is unfortunate for them, and that is going to be great for Jay Kennedy, as now he gets up into 7th place in this race, and all of a sudden, CPI are not having the best day in the office. They're 2nd place in the championship, and they are not going to score many points. No, they're not 2nd place in the championship. They're 5th in the championship, sorry. They're not going to score many points out of this one. Now WR is going to score a few more points, and all of a sudden, the advantage points-wise that Playing Ducks and NLR were going to gain, it's a little bit smaller, and it's a little bit less worthwhile in terms of the points gained out the end of this race. But for WR, probably it's going to be a bit of elation, a bit of joy, seeing a couple incidents there happening into one corner. But Jay Kennedy, he doesn't have a car to leech onto the back of anymore, so it's not necessarily worked to his advantage in terms of his own pace, because he'll fall maybe a little bit more susceptible to those behind. But this train, 6 cars here, all in the hunt for the race lead. We're heading on to lap 18. It is really do or die time for some of these drivers here as we head down the straight one more time in this race. A couple laps left in this one, and anything is possible. Zach Miles, though, he's going to be probably, there's a bit of vengeance in his eyes, almost undoubtedly. The red mist will undoubtedly be descending within the NLR camp, because they will be trying desperately to get back ahead of JST, as Candy King gets ahead of Tomas Boldra here in this race, who obviously had that incident into turn number 1 there with Esteban Tomasi and Jensen Randall in this race, so not worked the strategy he was pulling in this race, unfortunately not working for him. But Jensen Randall there getting back ahead of Istvan Tamasi as we cut to that, and a very nice overtake done there into turn number 4, and well, he'll run nicely out of the exit and get that place nice and easily done and dusted. And this is a battle for possibly a few points if Jensen Randall's able to hold that, as that's Mizzy who's causing a yellow flag there towards the end of Sector 1. But that doesn't matter all too much. He's already last in this race, so won't mean all too much in the grand scheme of things. But what will mean something come the end of this race will be these top places that are still up for grabs in this race. Still a lot of things to decide this as well in the latter stages of this race, because so much has happened up to this point in the race, and it's just absolutely mind-boggling the things that have happened up to this point, and you just can't write this stuff. There is no script. There is nothing that could have foreseen this one coming, but a 6-car battle for the lead is what we currently have as we head on to lap number 19, as Jasty takes the race lead ahead of Drake Dempsey here, and Zach Miles, he's going to be looking to try and get an overtake or two done here, undoubtedly so, but Drake Dempsey, he'll have an opportunity for the re-overtake, the second bite of the cherry here for him, as now he'll have an opportunity to try and re-overtake within the next couple of moments, as Icewas there gets ahead a couple of places, loses them again versus Istvan Tomasi and Jensen Randall in this race. ATX on for possibly a good points haul for them. Haven't got too many points in this championship up to this point, so some good points on the board for them, and would be good for them to get that on the board, as Mizzy gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane, and he retires from the race on lap 19 of 20, so it's all in vain for him and that one TTM car, but for the other, it's going to mean everything in this race if he has anything happened to him, because he's currently running in second place as Istvan Tomasi and Icewas continue to battle there for 10th and 11th place, and those are points paying positions, remember, points up to the top 15, so very important that they battle for every single points place in this race, because every point will matter come the end of the championship when the checker flag falls in the season finale. Well, Candy King is trying to get a few more points on the board for CPI. His teammate hasn't been able to do that, but he's going to try and do that himself. He's getting up into 11th place, but we're heading on to the final lap of this race. Drake Dempsey wants redemption. He wants to try and win this race like he was leading before the red flag was called. He wants vengeance. He wants the race lead back. He won't get it into turn number 1 though. That's important here though, because the second opportunity here, the second DRS straight, it might work to his benefit all the more. He'll run up the hill here. He will run up towards the braking zone here at turn number 4. Can he try and get the overtake there? He can't. JST continues to lead for playing ducks here. Zach Miles, though, in third, will try and apply the pressure to this top few. Jensen Randall battling with Candy King there, down for 10th and 11th place here. But the battle for the lead, it's undoubtedly more important. Drake Dempsey, he wants it so bad. He's gone. He's lost the rear slightly there on the exit of, I believe that's turn number 8. Now heading through turn number 9 and turn number 10. And he loses the place to Zach Miles. It's all coming undone for TTM here on the final lap of this race. Zach Miles, he now gets the overtake done, as does Kieran Humphries. It's a huge point haul for NLR, but can Drake Dempsey try and take the points place back and get back onto the podium? He can't, unfortunately. JST, he has undoubtedly deserved it. He had pole position. He started this race. He in first. He has fought from start to finish, as now they battle. It's nearly 3 wide there in the background. Jake Dempsey versus Pablo Alcobar and Nico Vine. Who comes out the better end? It's Pablo Alcobar. He's trying, but Drake Dempsey forces him slightly wide, but it is JST who takes the win for playing ducks. Zach Miles in second, Kieran Humphries in third. A great day for NLR. Drake Dempsey in fourth and Pablo Alcobar in fifth, running up that all-important top 5. Nico Viani in sixth. Jay Kennedy, a great points haul for WR. A difficult weekend for them, but ATX 8th and 9th. Jensen Randall, who'll lose a few places thanks to a penalty, so it'll be 10th for Icewas, 11th for Candy King. Jensen Randall in 12th, 13th though Marco Tabuno, and 14th going the way of Thomas Boldra. Aaron will then finish 15th for Shazoo and take the final points paying position, but take a bow playing ducks. What a race win, and what a way to do it around Bahrain, the Sakir International Circuit. It is JST on pole, not on pole position, who takes the race win around the Sakir International Circuit. What a race that was. You cannot write it, but what a win for him and Playing Ducks. But NLR will undoubtedly be pleased. A massive points haul for them, and not the best of weekends for WR, and that is definitely going to be crucial in this championship with just a few rounds left to go as well. 3 races left in this championship. It is all important for these drivers to get every single point they can, and when NLR needed it, they undoubtedly have delivered here, and a huge result for them. But let's take you through your race classification. It is Playing Ducks who take the win here and maximum points for the race win. But the fastest lap didn't go to them, unfortunately. But Zach Miles and Kieran Humphreys there. Great weekend for NLR. That is 2nd and 3rd for them. Drake Dempsey, he wanted the race win, but all he could muster was 4th. Unfortunately, a rear end slide there down into turn 8 there. Really costing him, unfortunately. But Pablo Alcama there in 5th. Unfortunately, losing out by the slimmest of margins. But Nico Viney, Jay Kennedy, Pavel, Istvan Tomasi and Icewiz rounding out your top 10. Candy King, Jensen Randall, Marco Zabuna, Thomas Boldra and Aaron there running out your top 15 and all your points finishers. And then Tony Hilter there, unfortunately, 6 seconds off there and not in the points. And then Mizzy retiring in the pit lane with a couple laps to go in this race. But what a race that was. You cannot ever count anyone out. And what a race that really was. And I mean, you just take a breather and wow. Yeah, just wow. Jeez. Unfortunately, some drivers not too happy in the chat, but nonetheless, we'll be getting JSD in for a couple of seconds for an interview. And I mean, just what a race that was. You cannot even unpack that. He started on pole, he lost it, and he just, right when he needed it, delivered the result come the end. And we'll get him in for an interview now. But it was Playing Ducks. Time to shine. Hello, it is... I've been saying JSD the entire time. I hope I've been getting it somewhat right and I've not like completely botched your name. But firstly, how are you? You've won the race, a difficult race at that. But how does it feel to have won the race and taken a good points haul for your team?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I felt good pace today. Also in the first race. In the second race with soft medium strategy, it's a little bit different because I've not practiced at all, and especially the soft tires in the race are not my favorite. So yeah, better pace on the mediums, and yeah, doing 1 lap overcut on Zach and Drake, and can overtake them in the last laps. And yeah, I'm really happy. Take it.
Yeah, so it's a great race win to take, and obviously your teammate was right up there with you. Unfortunately, he was very close to getting the overtake done on Drake Dempsey into the final turn, but unfortunately wasn't quite able to do it. But nonetheless, still a good points haul. You know, obviously in terms of the championship as well, great to get some more points on the board. Do you think you can move up in the championship based on where you are currently, or do you think the likes of NLR and those sort of teams are just a bit too far ahead as things stand for you to really get ahead?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that's my first race in this team event for Playing Ducks. So yeah, maybe I do a few more races, and maybe we can get some good points. Why not? I don't know how many races are left.
3 races. 3 races left.
3 races, and
yes, you're currently...
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you're currently 6th in the championship as things stand, 142 points, but you've undoubtedly gained massively on CPI. You'll definitely be overtaking them, and possibly Shazoo too. If not, you'll be very close up to the back of them for P4 in the championship. So, great race for you. Yeah, definitely going to be keen to see and hopefully see you in rounds gone by. But thank you very much for joining me for an interview. Great race win, thoroughly deserved. You took pole and you took the win. bit of a controversy in between, but undoubtedly well deserved. So well done. I'll let you get on. Go and celebrate. What a race win.
Thank you very much, and thank you for commentating.
No problem. It was a honor. See ya. And I've been greeted by not just one interview. This is something I'm completely unused to, doing the PS side, but we have a second interview. We have Zach Miles, who obviously was second place, for this race. And what second place it was? Zach, firstly, how are you? How does it feel? It's a good podium to take, but do you think you could have got a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race. I'm really glad both me and my teammate could just outpace Drake to get the podium. But yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, obviously it was a bit unlucky for obviously Drake Dempsey there towards the final lap of this race, because unfortunately, I'm not sure if I presume you would have seen it, but the rear end slide there, final lap of the race, really did hamper his chances of getting the re-overtake. But great battling between you and everyone. Obviously, you led the race a few points. Did you think the race win was in question, or did you think the pace of those in front was just maybe a little bit too much for you, or did you always think you had a chance?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was sitting back and just saving my battery, saving my tyres. I think when Drake and Jay started flashing, I had 60% battery and my teammate had 50. And then we knew we'd get at least one of them, which turned out to be Drake. But in the end, not quite enough of P1. You just got to be P2 onto that last lap, to be honest, and you'll always win. And that's quite hard to set up, generally.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the championship, a massive points swing in your direction, because you've obviously taken a really great result, double podium there, second and third, so a huge haul of points, and WR, their best finish was 7th, and the other driver didn't score points. So a lot of points going in your favour. Do you still think the championship is on? Obviously, going into this, only 51 points separating you and them, and leaving this, you're going to be quite a bit closer. Championship still up for grabs?
Yeah, for sure. I think they have a bit less, what's the word? They lost a good driver, I think. So, a quick driver. And, yeah, I think we've got a good chance of getting it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, undoubtedly, if the performance tonight is anything to go by, you certainly are going to be closing in quite convincingly. And, with the break week last time out, it certainly maybe gave you a bit of an opportunity for a bit more practice. But obviously, we head next time out, we head to, yet another track. And, well, no break week in between. So very important, to make sure you get everything right. And it's Japan, a difficult circuit. Are you feeling confident going into Japan?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of quick people at Japan on our roster, so I'm completely confident we'll do well there as well.
Well, glad to hear fighting words as well, and definitely trying to mount that all-important championship challenge. Well, a great podium to take, and I will, hopefully I'll continue to watch and maybe cast your future endeavours in the championship. But what a podium to take, a brilliant second place, and go and celebrate. You absolutely deserve it. A great race from you, and look forward to seeing how your championship challenge unfolds.
All right, thanks, mate. See you next time.
See ya. Well, what a race that was then. Well, let's have a little look at what is coming up, because I tell you what, we are in for a barnstormer end to this season. It cannot be understated how great this calendar is. We're going to Japan for round number 10. That is this time next week. Then Las Vegas and Brazil to round out your season. That Brazil race is going to be absolutely brilliant. But I must admit, absolutely mind blown. I'm used to casting PlayStation drivers, but this is quite something different. The absolute competition here, brilliant. Absolutely loved every second of it. But if you want to catch some other more racing action from Competitive Speed Series, make sure to check out Xbox tomorrow, and then on Sunday, check out PlayStation. You'll find me there for that. I love doing casting here at Competitive Speed Series. But thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thank you very much for cheering me along and, keeping me company here as we went for a duel in the desert around the Bahrain International Circuit. And what a duel it was. NLR really mounting a championship challenge. There is so much potential in this championship for things to boil over. WR really on the back foot. It cannot be understated. But Can they fight back? Find out next week when we head to Japan. But until then, bye-bye.